Hey everybody, welcome to Previews and Reviews. Today we're going to continue our countdown to Godzilla vs. Kong with Godzilla 2014. My name's Hayden Smalley.
Eric.
I'm Brad.
And Brad is our special guest from Creature Movie Reviews, which we'll have a link to at the end of the video and down in the description. You should definitely go check out his videos. We're going to be posting creature specs and stuff like that on his channel here soon. So definitely make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed here because we're going to be doing a day of movie review for Godzilla vs. Kong. Very excited about that. But today we're here to talk about the G-Man himself, as they used to say in the Godzilla animated series, based off of the 1998 Godzilla. What were you guys' thoughts on this movie?
So I liked it. Yeah. No, I mean it's a good, entertaining film. I got the ball rolling, and it showed us what Godzilla, what American audience wanted in a Godzilla movie, and it's a big Godzilla, and that's, I think, the big thing that we wanted as far as the monster goes.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, that is the best in the MonsterVerse so far. It's a bit slow burn. It's a bit of a character piece, story of the story of loss. He lost his mother, lost his father. Coping of it, and in some ways I'll get to that in a minute. The monsters are kind of an analogy for that. It's a real, when you dive into it, it's kind of an artsy film. The cinematography is the best that we've seen. It's better than Kong Skull Island to me. That shot where his tail's coming towards the boat and you think it's the whole mass of Godzilla. There's a whole bunch of stuff. We'll get there. I'm sorry. I love this movie. I love it. First thoughts is I love it. There we go.
I remember I went and saw this with my buddy Michael Lemons back when I was in youth group, and we saw it opening weekend or something. We had a gift card or whatever. And my favorite memory from my first time watching it was when you see Godzilla's tail and spines start to light up. Because I didn't think they were going to do that, because they didn't do it in the first American Godzilla movie. And I don't know. It's just
the way they did it. Sorry, you first. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. I was just gonna say because Zilla didn't have that until the animated series, which if neither of you guys have watched, you definitely should. It's great.
Wait, Zilla had it. He blew fire in the movie.
It kinda.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of. It wasn't atomic breath though. He would blow gases or whatever out of his mouth, and then would catch on the sparks of exploding cars or whatever. But the animated series had green atomic breath. Really cool. But I didn't think they were going to do it in this movie, and they saved it for the best moment. And just the way you see it lighting up in the smoke and debris.
That's what I was about to say. The way you don't see his body, and then you just see the spines, and every time it flickers, they see him. Yeah.
And that sound that it makes,
That's just something I was gonna say. This movie, even though it barely, and this is me contrasting it to King of the Monsters. Even though it barely showed the monsters, when the monsters were fighting, you felt it, and I like how it showed every perspective of the monsters. It was on ground level, as if you were a human looking up at them. And so I loved that. Great movie.
Fantastic movie, fantastic film. The only issues I have with this movie, and this is probably because of me being a massive Jurassic Park fan, is there's so many shots and scenes that are almost carbon copy of stuff you see in Jurassic Park. Even the Monarch helicopter is white and blue, like the engine helicopter in the Jurassic Park movie. You've got them walking through the dig site, just like in the first movie for Jurassic, and just certain things. I mean, even Kong Skull Island had one, or had a few things. They had Samuel L. Jackson say his line, "Hold on to your butts," which I feel like was just a meta reference. Yeah. But then they call the really big skull crawler the big one, which the big one in terms of the big raptor. Yeah. The only reference that King of the Monsters had was they called their helicopter plane things, raptors. I think that was about it.
That was it. That's been in the old Japanese movies. It was called the Raptor back then too.
Was
The
it?
giant ship that chased Godzilla around the planet or whatever all the time. It's called the Raptor.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's
But-
cool. That's good.
Yeah, that's my only complaints, and that's just because I'm a Jurassic Park fan, and just when I see those moments in the movie, it kind of pulls me out. It's like it just kind of reminds me, okay, this is a movie. They're doing stuff other movies have done, like. But other than that, I love this movie.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one for sure. What do you guys think of the what do you guys think of the cinematography? That's
Oh,
something I just
stellar.
movie,
Yeah, there's no denying the cinematography. The shot that comes to my mind, which a lot of people hated, but is when they're closing the lids and you almost see the monsters fighting, and they're closing the lid and boom. Yeah. But it's looking back on it, I was disappointed, but looking back on it, it was a good shot.
Yeah.
It shows you what the people are seeing,
Mhm.
because they're not hardly seeing the monsters. They're worried to death about what's happening. Like the suspense. We, as an audience, we think the suspense is killing us. It's literally killing. It's literally killing the people in the movie.
One of the things I really liked as well is that the movie plays out much more realistically than any of the others. It doesn't come off as a monster movie. It comes off as a disaster movie.
Yeah,
that's what it would be. You don't that scene in Hawaii. You don't see all the destruction because you don't. They didn't want to show you. They didn't want to show you a monster fight. They wanted to show you this is a disaster. This isn't the fun action-packed like monster versus monster. They saved that for the ending, which is good. And that takedown Godzilla did, legendary. Open your mouth, all that stuff, legendary, right? But they saved that for the ending, wisely so, because it was a good payoff.
Yeah,
it was a good payoff.
It was this movie pays off very well, and I was just about to mention, and then you said that about being a disaster movie. One of my other favorite scenes is when I believe it's the scene in Hawaii where all that water recedes, and you know that the tsunami's coming in, and it's showing like Godzilla is so big that he's causing a mini tsunami.
Right.
And I mean, you see the dog taking off, and just, oh my goodness, I mean, like they even have like a subplot where a kid gets stuck on a train and separated from his family, and him getting back to, like, because that stuff happens, and just seeing as many effects of disasters as they could put into this movie without it being bloated. They did a fantastic job, and I think that just goes to great filmmakers.
That's actually one of the things that Gareth Edwards, one of my favorite directors, he hasn't directed much. He's directed his passion project in first film was called Monsters, about giant monsters. He wrote it himself. He had a really low budget, but if you look it up, the visual effects are amazing.
And I think he did all those effects himself.
Yes,
like just in his spare time. Yeah.
Oh, wow, is that on YouTube, or?
I don't know.
If it is, I'll post a link to it, and I'll go take a look.
Then he did Rogue One, which is a great movie. Great. He's one of my favorite directors ever. He said basically that that's what he was trying to do with that movie. And all the Godzilla movies and all the giant monster movies, you see them clash into buildings and destroy stuff. And the next movie, 2 years later, everything is rebuilt. He shows the after effects of what happens if two monsters are in Hawaii. And you like see everything's destroyed. And you're pretty much not going to get tourists in Hawaii for the next 20 years.
That's true. One thing, when you talked about the disaster part of it, it takes it back to the original Godzilla, 1955, where it was a disaster. I mean, their kids are screaming, singing in the church, and you see people lying all around. And it's the same idea in this one. You just see Godzilla doesn't even attack the humans. It's just he's so big, he causes a tsunami to come.
Right.
Yeah. And that's stuff I would like to see more of in the Monsterverse, because and we'll get into it in the next video, but Godzilla King of the Monsters didn't have a lot of that. It was more big CGI disaster everywhere. And
it kind of jumped the gun on that to me. Washington D.C. and New York being destroyed, all these big cities destroyed off camera, kind of jumped the gun. Continue.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because like I mean, we're looking at the trailers for for Godzilla versus Kong. All the cities, at least from the clips I've seen, like where you get like a full look at the city, the
Mhm.
cities look fine.
Mhm.
Like they look like
And Godzilla
Godzilla
versus
King of the
Kong.
Monsters never happened.
And Godzilla versus Kong, you say?
Yeah.
That's because for apparently everybody in the Asian countries haven't been touched yet. So a lot of people are living in Asia in this one. So Hong Kong is going to be the city that everything takes place in.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm for
That'll
that.
be cool.
To play a little bit, just for the sake of argument, the movie does focus on the human characters, and the human characters you root for, and they're good, and it is all about loss and stuff. But I think about in all, you get 10 minutes of Godzilla,
Yeah,
and I gotta say I'm disappointed. And
understandable.
and yeah, I mean, if I go see a giant monster movie, right from the start, I'm kind of turning my brain off, and I'm just gonna watch giant monster movies.
Right.
And this one was not quite that. You know, the director wasn't going for that.
Yeah.
It should have been named "What Happens When Godzilla Attacks" or something. That would have been a better way to do it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I agree. It definitely. I went in. It was 2014. How old was I? 15. Yeah, I went in expecting this bombastic action. The way the trailers sold it as well, were kind of. If you watch the trailers, it was all, oh snap, Godzilla's coming to destroy this city, and you didn't even. Everybody actually didn't know if there was going to be an enemy monster. A lot of people thought it was going to be a remake of the original, with Godzilla being the antagonist. And so they went in thinking all this monster destruction. It ended up being like this deep, insightful movie about loss with monsters on the side.
Yeah.
So,
And this was right after or right at the end of Breaking Bad. So Bryan Cranston was a big. I mean, everybody liked him, and he well,
he died. Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, he dies halfway through. I mean, so and his character isn't really the focus.
Yeah.
Even though the trailers sold him as like, man, he's gonna be a big part of this movie, and yeah, I was kind of disappointed that they killed him off so quickly. But something that bugs me, and I get that like it's just actors and actresses being in different movies yet still working together, but Elizabeth Olsen and I can't think of his name.
Aaron Johnson.
Yeah, Aaron Johnson. They play husband and wife in this movie, where in Avengers: Age of Ultron they play siblings.
Right, just a year later.
It kind of weirds me out, not gonna lie. I'm like, every time I watch it, I have to just remind myself, because like, I mean, I already know, that they're not in the same universe, but I have to remind myself they're actors. Like, eventually it's gonna happen.
It makes you wonder what Wanda in the MCU could do against Godzilla in the Godzilla universe. I think Godzilla would probably get his butt handed to him, but
honestly, same. I low-key want to see I want to see an Avengers movie where they fight a kaiju.
That would be,
because they have in Marvel Comics, they did fight Godzilla
won.
And Kong. So I think the MCU should create its own giant kaiju for that sort of thing. I mean, they have like Fin Fang Foom, which I think they ought to do.
Yeah, they're gonna probably bring him in with Shang-Chi.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But and of course I know they got like Galactus coming, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So popcorn buckets, what would you rate Godzilla 2014?
I'm letting Brad go first.
Okay. I'm gonna go.
So Brad always gets to go first. That's how we'll do it.
I would have to go as far as entertainment. The thing that gives it points is the final scene. When Godzilla opens up that mouth and just atomic breath in, that is, that gives it a point there, at least a point. But I'm gonna have to go. I'll go 3.5. I was gonna go 3. You guys I'm gonna go 3.5, which is a little low. But I watched it. I watched it when it came out, and I watched it again and kind of recaps and stuff. And I don't really need to watch it again.
Yeah,
That's my only reasoning for it. Now it's a good movie, and if you love it, I understand why. But I just don't. I just want the King of the Monsters is what I wanted.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that. And it delivered. Either way, it delivered. I think it says a lot about this movie when you can this has been our longest review that we've done of these monster movies so far. When you can sit around and just chat about a movie, where the good things and the bad things, and you enjoy it nonetheless. So that's good. I'm biased, so I'm gonna give it like a 4.5. It was a good experience. That was probably my first movie theater experience that was close to Infinity War or Endgame. Everybody was really dry and really dull for most of the movie, right? And then we get to the scene in San Francisco, and everybody is just clapping and cheering anytime Godzilla was on the screen. The scene where he kills the female Muto, the atomic breath. Everybody just stood up and clapped. Everybody, probably the closest I've gotten to an Endgame experience since or before Marvel really hit it big. So for me, the payoff was well worth it at the ending, even if you did get a little bored throughout the film.
My first time watching it, I would have given it 5 popcorn buckets. I was very hyped up. I went and saw it with a buddy. We were both super hyped. The times I've rewatched it, though, it's definitely felt like a much slower burn. So for that reason, I gotta agree with you on the like 3.5 popcorn buckets. Because I'm gonna be watching this movie and have by the end of it maybe finished half my bag of popcorn, but I've finished the entire freezy halfway through the movie. So I gotta agree with you on that. Film reels wise though, and I guess I'll go ahead first on that one and just kind of circle back around. I gotta give it 5. As a film, this thing is incredibly well put together. The special effects, there's not a moment that it lacks. This is, to me, the definitive version of how Godzilla should look. Other than the spinal plates looking different in Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think his design's a little bit more improved there. But other than that, like when I think of Godzilla, this is the face I think of. But yeah, so I gotta give it a 5 for all those reasons. It's just so well made. Brad, what about you?
So when you first asked that, I want to try to be not influenced by you guys. I had a number in my head, right? And that number was 4. 4 out of 5. But we're talking a little bit, and I'll bump it up to 4.5. Only because of the scenes where they are, it's always filmed from the human's perspective, so the monsters look huge, and I guess, you know what, I'll go back to 4 because it's a little dark. I agree. The first place I watched it was actually at a drive-in theater in our hometown, and that's a cool experience to be outside and stuff, but it's not pitch black and it's not surround sound and stuff. So when I rewatched it at home, again, it's not a movie theater. So if I watched it at a movie theater, the darkness probably wouldn't have been an issue. But so I'm gonna go 4.
I can definitely see that. In fact, for that reason, I'm actually going to bring mine down to a 4.5 because because that's when in Hollywood they're editing, that's something that they have to account for, is how's this going to look and sound on a theater screen, and how's this going to look and sound in the home. And those are two very different experiences. And of course, it didn't even reach the kind of quality visually that it should have in terms of how bright or dark it was for like a drive-in. So I gotta agree with you on that. What about you, Eric?
For me, I'll give it the same. I'll give it a 4.5. The cinematography is immaculate. Just one word will get you guys. Will get you guys agreeing with me on that. The Halo jump scene where they're falling from the sky.
Yeah.
Immaculate cinematography. The lighting is off, and here's one of the reasons why. And this is just my theory; it's not confirmed. They spent the visual effects. They look photorealistic when you look at Godzilla. The water dripping off from everything. I feel like they spent so much money on that movie that the last battle had to be dark because there were just the CGI budget could not handle it. So yeah. I can't defend that. I agree. It's gonna be like that. That's what brings it down is the darkness. You gotta have it. That's why people were saying, in the next movies, right? Let them fight in broad daylight so that we can actually see what's happening.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that brings it down is probably the fact that I had it in my head. What was it? I can't remember what it was. It had something. It had something to do with the. Bryan Cranston. Yeah, the way the trailers sold the film really kind of. If you're going, they should have sold it as the kind of movie it was, which was kind of a deep, insightful movie with some monsters in it. Instead of San Francisco's destroyed, Japan's destroyed, this is destroyed. This is Godzilla. Look at this. Ooh.
Yeah.
So that probably brings it down for me. Between the lighting and then the story, depending on who you are, it can drag. It can drag. It can. I mean, how many times is this guy gonna say in the movie? I'm trying to get to my family in San Francisco. I get it. It's not a perfect movie, but for me, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's good. Now, what did you guys think of the Mutos?
Oh, we never even touched on that. Good job, Brad.
Thank you. The Mutos, when I first saw them in the trailers and stuff, I was kind of like, eh. But then watching the movie, my first time watching the movie, I still wasn't super impressed. I think I actually liked them better the second time I watched the movie, though, because I saw kind of, I think, the thought process of the filmmakers, in that they wanted to create an original monster, and they probably needed to because they probably didn't have the rights to any of Toho's monsters at the time. Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah. They probably didn't have those at the time. This movie, I think, was a trial run for Japan to see if America could do Godzilla justice before they gave the rights to anything else. And because Godzilla versus Kong is supposed to be Warner Bros. Last movie with Godzilla in terms of how many movies they've got the rights to him for, but there's talk that they're going to extend it. And I honestly think they should, because they've done the character justice in many ways, allowing his first film to be a very serious disaster movie like Godzilla's original movie, and then letting the preceding films kind of be more fun monster mashes. And the Mutos, they weren't necessarily fun as monsters, but they were designed smart. They had an interesting ability to kind of, what is it, EMP, electromagnetic pulses or whatever. So it basically sent the characters back to the Stone Age in a lot of ways. When any time that they would put their fists to the ground to do their thing or whatever, I thought that was really smart. I mean, bioelectricity is something that we see, in the animal kingdom, especially when it comes to aquatic life. And these things, their skin looks almost amphibious on certain parts of their body, just real smooth, but not like bad CGI smooth. And then, of course, and I actually saw, I haven't seen this video. I've just seen the thumbnail for it, but it's basically saying why Godzilla 1998 and 2014 are the same movie. And the only thing I can think of, other than they're both made by America, is they're essentially about a big giant monster going into a city to lay eggs. And this time the Mutos take that role, and if the baby Mutos hatch, then the world's over pretty much. And I like how they intertwine with, Godzilla took care of the mom and dad, but who's to say he wouldn't have missed all the babies? And that's where the humans were important, because the humans were the ones who killed them.
Yeah.
And I think that was genius. And they set it up because they've got like Muto Prime too, like the Queen Muto or whatever. So like the Mutos aren't gone entirely. But I don't know. I just there's things I like about them, things I don't. But I'll shut up and let you guys talk.
Hey, no, you're good. You're good. I really like that that point you made of it really is one of the first Godzilla movies where the humans aren't useless. They actually have a use in the film. But Brad, would you like me to speak, or do you want
no, go ahead. Yeah, I want to know your opinion.
For me, the Mutos, their design, it's unique. Because it makes sense. It's not like your typical cool factor monster where like he has a chainsaw belly button or just something weird like that. It's nothing like that. It actually, they're designed to make sense, to exist in the real world. If a giant monster existed that was a parasite to giant monsters back then, they absorb the radiation out of them, they suck the life out of them, they emerge, cycle continues. It would make sense that they'd have bioelectricity because of the radiation they absorb, all that stuff. The science behind them, even though, giant monsters can't exist. I mean, that big, probably not. I don't know. I hope not. I hope not. It would make sense. This is the way they were designed. So I appreciated it for the scientific factor. They were also very intimidating. That scene on the train bridge.
Yes.
Very intimidating scene. So between the intimidation factor and the scientific accuracy, as accurate as you can get, I guess, for Hollywood, it was good. I liked them. How about you?
Yeah, they're okay. I will tell you, from the trailer, there was a part where I think the female flew across like a building, and you saw it from the human's perspective. Yeah. I was convinced, and you could not have changed my mind. I was convinced that was Rodan. Like I was like, oh, that is Rodan. And
same thing.
Even like when I saw it, I was like, they brought Rodan? No, it wasn't Rodan. Yeah. But so I thought they were. I liked the radiation aspect of them, and even how Godzilla needed the radiation to get better and stuff. And I think that was this film, but yeah. So I did like how they could do that and the abilities that they had. I thought they were cool. I was a little disappointed they weren't an original, Toho creation or something. I feel like they would have came up with something a little bit more wackier, like a buzzsaw on the chest or something. Yeah. But as far as our first good go at another monster that's not Godzilla, they did their job. Yeah, they were cool. One flew, one didn't. It was one didn't fly. They were unique. They were cool.
Yeah. That is very American. One can fly, one can't. Isn't that unique?
yeah. Look at what we did.
That is something I actually really appreciated, was the sexual dimorphism between the two. And because the female you had was much larger and apparently had been kept at like Area 51 in like their like nuclear waste area or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the male who can fly and is way smaller. And one of my favorite scenes is where like the Mutos put their heads together and they make that like clicking sound. Mm-hmm. I love the sound design there.
If you noticed in that scene also, the lights, we're running out of time, I'm so sorry. The lights in their eyes, they were almost like verifying what they were. They move in sync. They like sync up with each other. Yeah.
I thought that was incredible. So anyways, but the recording, the remaining meeting time's running out for the recording on Zoom. So we'll go ahead and end it there because we're ready to get on to Godzilla King of the Monsters in our next video. So if you guys are liking these videos, be sure that you're subscribed. I'm going to leave some links for Creature movie reviews. So go check out his channel, especially if you love Bigfoot. He's got a lot of great stuff on his channel. So anyways, I'm Hayden.
I'm Eric.
I'm Brad.
God bless.